Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach, the mindset and confidence podcast where I provide women, athletes, executive, entrepreneurs, founders, and you the confidence you need to reach your goals. I'm your host, confidence certified mindset and confidence coach, Christina Callaway. I'm really excited that you joined me this evening because the special guest that I have for you is here to talk about how to create content for on your social media platforms for your entrepreneurial journey. And even if you aren't an entrepreneur yet, maybe you've thought about how to create content, how to go about it. Or maybe you know someone who might be struggling with that. Well, let me give you a little bit of background information about our special guest this evening. Our special guest is a visibility coach. Like you, I didn't know that there was a such thing as that, but I met her on Instagram. Her name is Sandy Chinogurei. She is out of the UK. She is the founder of the Fearless Femprenuer, whose focus is on helping new coaches and consultants build their business online by getting visible and attracting their dream client. Sandy's desire is to work with female coaches, and it has ignited her passion to help as many female entrepreneurs build their businesses online by showing up confidently as leaders in their niche. In addition to being a coach, Sandy designs and creates bridal wear in the UK. And one of her accomplishments is winning 3 awards as a bridal designer in a business she has been running for more than 8 years. Outside of the office, her passion is singing and journaling. Help me welcome Sandy. Good evening, Sandy.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for coming on board and sharing what it is that you do. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about it.
Thank you for having me.
You
It's a
are most
pleasure.
welcome. I was reading there in your bio, and what intrigued me amongst the many things that you shared was the designing the wedding gowns and the awards. How did you get into designing wedding gowns?
How did I end up in the designing industry? What happened was my young sister was getting married and she wanted a custom wedding dress. So I said I was going to I was going to buy a wedding dress for her. So I had to source a wedding dress for her and it was custom made. And I realized there was a gap in the market. I realized there are people out there who wanted just a custom dress, a custom wedding dress. So that is how I started. And my sister was like, why don't you start a business in, creating custom gowns? So that's how I ended in that industry.
That is very interesting. And I like what you said when you said you noticed after doing it for your sister and then through her encouragement, you noticed that there was a gap in the industry and something that started out as a passion and you wanting to create it for your sister, that it allowed you to then move forward and so you did. And you won awards. Tell me more about the awards.
Okay. I won three different awards, and the awards were for best designer. So these were like 3 different years. Like, I think two of them were the same year, and then the other one was in a different year. Yeah. So
That is
that's
amazing. That is so awesome. I love that story. And as you know, I'm a mindset and confidence coach, and being able to show up in an industry new and doing something that you had never done before,
yeah.
that must have taken a lot of confidence. And that is something as a visibility coach that you actually help your clients to do. So how did you get into the visibility coaching, and share a little bit more about what that is?
Okay, good question. Visibility coaching is more like helping people or helping entrepreneurs online, like help them get confident and show up as leaders in their industry. Help them show up on camera, on video, because a lot of people shy away from being on camera. They fear of judgment, fear of what people will say, or maybe they say, I'm an introvert, I don't want to be on camera. So this is part of the journey that we help people with as a visibility coach. We help people overcome limiting beliefs, and then we start working on, showing up and attracting your clients.
Mm-hmm. That is very true. I know when COVID first happened and we were all relegated to be inside, okay? And for those of us who were in business for ourselves, it put us smack in front of our computers,
Yeah.
having to do business. And, a little FaceTime here prior to that, and a little FaceTime there prior to that. Let's face it, not many of us had to be on Zoom, or even probably didn't really know that much about it. We probably knew about Google Teams, from having to do a few meetings here or there, but not anything to the extent of what we now know the virtual world to be. And so, kind of briefly take us through what that confidence, leading a client through it confidently, because I think most people probably are under the impression of, oh, I just need to push out content. I need to push out content. But you're saying, if I hear you correctly, that you first have to build that confidence up in them. What does
Yeah.
that look like?
Okay, how does confidence look like? First of all, it's doing something even when you are at a position of fear. Doing something that is out of your comfort zone, showing up, showing up. And that involves you doing it even in your fears, even in your imperfection.
Mm.
And that's going to involve you being consistent. So I see confidence as a muscle. The more you practice, the better you become and the stronger you get. So it's like a muscle that you have to build over time.
Mm. I like that. You're using words like fear, imperfection,
Hmm.
consistency.
Hmm.
And all of those words in our society, where we are so used to, you put something in the microwave and a few minutes later, out pops the finished product.
Yeah.
And that is not how confidence works. It does take the patience, it does take the practice, and it does take sometimes it not coming out exactly the way that we might want it to be. For example, lives, which is what you and I are doing right now.
Hmm.
A lot of times, the confidence in terms of going live, the thought, the idea of a client having to do that, it's very intimidating. What would you share with our viewing audience
Hmm.
that would help them to get the confidence that they need, that would help them to be able to go live with their ideal client?
The first thing I'm going to say is at first it's going to be hard. It's hard for anybody to just put yourself out there, you know? It's one thing to be confident in real life, but on camera that's another whole level, you know? So you're not the first one to be in that position, and you're not the last either. So allow yourself to go through that discomfort because at some point you will overcome that discomfort. It will no longer be a discomfort. So allow yourself, push yourself through those fears. Just remind yourself, because if we look around right now, video, reels, TikTok, short videos, that is the thing that is trending right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not going to push yourself and limit yourself just to writing content, you are not going to be able to, your audience are not going to be able to connect with you at a higher level.
Correct.
And with video content, it helps people to like and to trust you. That builds that rapport quicker. So you
Mm.
have to remind yourself that I have to go through this. I have to learn how to go live. And one of the things you can do is you can practice going live on your own Facebook account. You can just, change the settings to yourself. No one else can see it. You can start from there.
Wow.
Yeah. Or
Well, that's a
create a
good little tip. I don't think I knew that, Sandy. I don't think that I knew that I could be the only one that could view that. So
yeah,
thank you for that little tip. I've already gone
yeah,
live on Facebook, but I
yeah.
think the first time I did not know that. So I hope everyone has picked up that little tip. If you have some angst about going live on Facebook for the first time, that's a little helpful tip from Sandy that you can actually change the settings so that only you can see it and you can practice it on yourself first before you actually go public with it. So
That's
there
right.
you go. So as we have been talking about, and you just mentioned the different platforms that are out there that are available, that most that are watching are, if they're not already on those, they have heard
Hmm.
of them.
Hmm.
TikTok,
Hmm.
and you have Reels, which are found on Instagram,
Hmm.
and then there is LinkedIn, there's Facebook, which we're all very familiar with. There's now Twitch. There's
Hmm.
several others out there that I've heard of them, but I'm not on them.
Hmm.
And so, as we talk about content creation and engagement, talk also about w- how you how an entrepreneur is to select which one of those platforms, and about the creation of the content and the engagement.
Okay. My suggestion is at least pick two platforms. At least two platforms that your ideal audience can find you, and be consistent on those two platforms. Be consistent on those two platforms. Because once you start being consistent, people will get to know you. It's like going into a shop, and let's say you're going to a particular shop and it's always open. People
Mhm,
get to know you. But
mhm,
when they come to your shop and sometimes it's closed, they sort of cannot trust you. And this is online. So you need to be consistent. That's the first thing, on whatever platforms that you are going to be appearing on. And it
mhm,
doesn't have to be every day. It can be 3 times a day. Sorry, 3 times a week or
mhm,
2 times a week. But just make sure that it's on maybe the specific same days. It could be a Monday and a Friday, so that people know exactly where to find you on a Monday and Friday.
got you.
Yeah.
Got you. So when you're talking about creating the content and you're talking about being consistent, you mentioned selecting which days you're going to do it, be making sure you show up on those days. How important is the time that you show up on those days in terms of your ideal audience?
The time is quite important, because you have to be showing up at a time that people are going to be active. Because if you're putting your content anytime, that can be discouraging. You put content out there and no one is engaging with it because they are not active. So
Mhm,
that this is where insights come in. It's very important to check the insights. Go and check what time your audience are active, which
mhm,
day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you create your content timings around the what the insights are telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, when one key thing to know too is to know the time zone that the insights reflect. A lot of times, for those of us that live on the East Coast, when we're looking at those times that it's reflecting, we automatically think that those times are being done in on East Coast times, and that's
Hmm.
not the case. Those times are done on West Coast time zone. And so you, if it's showing that you have a higher activity, say at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that actually is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hmm.
So just make sure that you are aware of the platforms, what those, you got to be knowledgeable about your insights. And that's where someone such as yourself, a visibility coach, can
Hmm.
help the individual understand how to read their insights, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. That's right.
Very good. Now, the word engagement, and I hear people toss around the word engagement quite often, but they don't really kind of understand it. Help
Hmm.
the listeners understand the full meaning of what engagement includes.
Okay. In terms of engagement, this is when you put out your content out there, people are taking the time to respond to what you've put out. But one thing you need to be aware of is give and it shall be given back to you. So don't just wait there expecting people to just engage with your post whilst all you do is post, but you are not engaging with other people. It is so important to build that relationship with your audience, for example, that when they share their own content, you are there supporting them. You are also there engaging with their content. You're showing interest.
Mhm,
Because it's easier for me to remember someone who is taking their time to engage with my posts. And when I see your post, automatically it's easier for me to engage back with your post because you also take the time to do the same thing.
mhm.
So this is one hack that we can use to just build our own engagement. Engage with your followers first,
Yes,
and they'll remember you,
yes.
and they'll engage back. Such that when the time comes that you've got something that you're launching or something that you're putting out there, because you've got that relationship already, they are able to see it in their newsfeed.
That's exactly right. That is very good. And I think that gets missed by a lot of people. It tends to be that I want to put up something on mine and I want everyone to come in. I want them to like it. I want them to double tap it. I want them to comment. However, I don't want to thank them for their comment. I don't want to say, hey, what resonated with you about it? Or I don't want to go and look onto their feed and see what they're doing and to say, hey, congratulations, or just to let them know that I see you. And that goes a very long way. I know that when someone with a blue check mark acknowledges
Mhm.
anything that someone does, it makes them feel, everyone wants to feel needed and wanted and special. And I think that it's very important for entrepreneurs who are building their businesses just to remember that, because
Mhm.
when you're putting out content and you have someone that goes down your feed and they think enough of to reshare, to save, because we can see when people save our stuff,
Exactly.
that we acknowledge that, because as you have just said, it goes a really long way, that when
Mhm.
we do put up an offer, that they're going to be more inclined to be supportive of that. So thank you,
Exactly.
Sandy, for actually explaining what the two-way street of engagement looks like
Mhm.
and how important it is that we remember that when we are posting, that we make sure that we go on to others, and it's called the law of reciprocity. We want to make
Yeah.
sure that it is a two-way street that flows. Now, the other thing that is it's one of the big questions that we as entrepreneurs have. How can we attract our ideal client? I'm out here, I'm posting, I'm getting engagement.
Mhm.
However, it's not my ideal client that I'm engaging. What is it that I need to do, in essence, to attract the clients, make them come toward the honey?
Love that. Make them come to the honey. Okay, the
Mhm.
first thing is going to be the content itself. Great content. And in that great content, you need to make sure that you are serving your audience with different types of content. Some people prefer videos,
Mhm.
some people prefer long posts, some people prefer the short posts. So do not just do one type of content, because you don't know you don't know the individuals what they like. So you need to serve them with different types of content. And in that content, make sure, if it's a written post, make sure you're gonna put a hook, a headline which is catchy, because you need to catch their attention. People, their news feeds are full up, So you need to make sure that whatever you're gonna put out there, that the headline is catchy, and then the actual content. For example, it could be a story. It's so easy for when you put content, when you share stories, that people resonate with stories. They enjoy reading stories. They don't feel sold to. But so it grabs people's attention. Stories. So you need to be sharing different types of content. And if you are, for example, you want people to work with you, maybe you've got an offer you're putting out there and you want people to work with you, make sure you indicate at the bottom, indicate to them that, you know, if you are if you are, let's say, for example, if you currently need a mindset coach, and you need someone to work with you, I can work with you, I can help you with X, Y, and Z. And this is how I've been helping my clients. I've been helping my clients get these kind of results. And if this resonates with you, and if this is something, if you want to know more about my offer, comment the word "me" in the comment, and that is part of the call to action. So we need to have a call to action in our posts. If you're not going to add a call to action, don't expect any action to happen in the comment section. If you want people to ask people to comment, if they need to know more about this offer, ask them to comment me. Ask them to send you a DM with maybe the word offer. You need to
Right.
take it a step further. Yeah. So this is how we can have our content convert to clients.
Absolutely. That was rich with tips and suggestions, and even including the call to action in terms of attracting the ideal client. And you also mentioned the variety of content, different types of content,
Hmm.
having a mixture of carousel post versus
Yeah.
reels versus
Yeah.
videos,
Hmm.
stories, lives. And also, how important is it to select the platform to be on? Like, how does an entrepreneur go about choosing the platform that they should be on?
How to choose the platform to be on will depend on the kind of audience that you're serving. If, for example, you're serving professionals, you are serving career people, the best place for you will be to be on LinkedIn. But if you're a creator, and your audience as well is the younger audience, you're better off being on. If your audience, you're better off being on TikTok
Mhm.
or Instagram. But one thing you need to know is, when you're going to be on Instagram, Instagram is more of I'm not sure which word to use. Um, you need to be creative if you're going to be on Instagram, because it's more of eye-catching
Mhm.
content.
Right.
And on Facebook groups, that's another. If you want to do generate leads, a Facebook group will be the best place to be, because you
Mm-hmm.
generate leads, you get email addresses much quicker on a Facebook group. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very important to know what is your goal, what goals have you set out.
Right.
That way, it will determine which platform that you're gonna be on. What are your marketing goals?
Okay. So the first step before, would you say the first step before an entrepreneur establish their account, that they should set out first
Mm-hmm.
with their business plan, and in the marketing portion of the business plan, determine what their marketing goals are?
That's right.
Okay. For the individual who is, you know, I'm just not tech savvy, and I just, the confidence piece, I'm not really sure. I don't know that I can do this. What other suggestions would you recommend for them to get themselves visible in on any of these platforms that you just mentioned? What are some other options for them?
You mean for people who do not want to be on video? Is that it? Or
That, or just maybe even with posting, they're not even sure how to do it. When it just comes to technology and working those different things, it just is very overwhelming to them. They know that they need to be on it,
mm-hmm.
but they aren't the person in their business that they can see themselves doing it at a level where it's going to serve them well. What other options might they have?
They can, let's say, focus on one platform. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you're doing it by yourself, just focus on one platform. For
Hmm.
example, if you're going to use Instagram, it makes a whole lot of difference. It makes things easier. You can just forward your post to Facebook,
Hmm.
such that you don't have to create you just repurpose your content, just share it on Facebook.
Hmm.
I think that's the easiest way. So just focus on that one platform and just reshare your content.
Hmm. Very good. So that there are other options, so they wouldn't have to, because sometimes when people hear it being said about all the different platforms that are out there, they're just thinking, oh my goodness, I can't wrap my mind around one. She just rattled off about 5 or 6. You mean I've got to be on all of those? And I didn't want anyone in the audience or who may listen to this on the replay to think, you mean I've got to go out there and put myself on all of these platforms? So I wanted to be very clear to anyone watching now that that's not what she's saying. That's not what we're suggesting. That whichever platform you choose to be on, the main takeaway from this is to be consistent, to make sure that you do it with confidence, to make sure that you create content that is engaging and that your audience identifies with. And when you're putting all of those together, you're going to be able to attract the client that is ideal for you. Anything that you, Sandy, would like to add before we wrap it up and I do a call to action with the guest, with the audience?
Yep. I just want to put it out there to the guests that just make sure you stay consistent. Stay consistent. Okay, build your content, stay consistent, and build connections, because that is the only way to convert your connections into clients.
Absolutely. That's very good advice. Everyone knows I always do a call to action with my guest. And so the way that you can get in touch with Sandy, yes, Sandy's in the UK, but just as we have discovered through video and through the internet, we are all connected. And the way that you can connect with her, you can follow her on Instagram and you can connect with her on LinkedIn. This is her handle, Sandy Chinogurei. I'm going to leave that up. It's also going to be in the show notes so that you can connect with her. You can connect with her on Facebook as well. She has a Facebook page and it's simply her name. You're just going to search for it and with her name. And again, I will put this information in the show notes. And she also has a website. please visit her website. And if you want to set up a clarity call with her to go into a more deeper dive than we were able to do here tonight, that's what this is for. This is just a little teaser to introduce the guests to you in terms of what they do. And we hope that we've done that and that you are interested. Sandy, I just want to thank you again for being my guest here tonight on Conversation with Coach. And I hope that we have been able to add value to our listening audience. And I hope to have you back in the future.
I hope so too. Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. I'm going to say goodnight to my guests, and I'll be with you momentarily.
No problem.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Conversation with Coach. And you don't want to miss next week. I have a fantastic guest that's going to be joining us next week. You know, we have gone through that first month of the year. Where are you with your fitness goals? Well, I'm bringing in a personal trainer because if you have fallen off the workout wheel, don't worry, no judgments here. We're going to rebuild that confidence, reset that mind, and I have a special guest that's going to help you do just that. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'm already pushing it to the weekend. Well, it's Wednesday. We only have 2 more days. We can do it. You know how to get in touch with me, but if this is your first time and you don't know how to get in touch with me, you're on one of my platforms. If you aren't on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to YouTube, listen, I need you to get on over there and subscribe. I need you to share and subscribe to YouTube. If you aren't on Instagram, I need you to get on over to Instagram and subscribe to Instagram. If you aren't on Facebook, I need you to get over there and follow me on Facebook. And if you're not on LinkedIn, well, come on over there. Just subscribe to all of my platforms, and there you go. It's Christina, Mindset Coach. Make it pretty easy for you to do that and for you to share. And also, if you would like to have a clarity call, just because you want to know more, you want to get more confident, maybe you need a mindset shift in terms of your goal setting or whatever it is, visit the website and let's set up that clarity call, and we will have you right on your way. Thank you all again for joining me, and you all have a good night. See you here next week, same time, same station. Good night.